Earlier this month, the Illinois assault weapons ban was ordered to stay in place while the legal battle against it continues working its way through the courts. This has been a long, complicated fight for both sides, so we're going to take you back to the timeline. It all started 2 years ago in January of 2023 when Illinois lawmakers passed the ban in response to numerous mass shootings, including one in Highland Park, Illinois. The law bans the sale, purchase, and manufacturing of, quote, assault weapons. Now, the law was quickly challenged in both state and federal courts, and this is where things start to get complicated. So there was one argument that the ban violated part of the Illinois Constitution. In August of 2023, the Illinois Supreme Court said that's not true and upheld the law. You can see that over here. But there is another, broader argument here that the ban violates the Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution, and that is still what's going through the courts. There were several federal lawsuits here that were all eventually grouped into 3. So for district court purposes, 2 of those are grouped in the northern part of the state. I think we have a graphic, Jeff, if you could pull that up, and one is grouped in the southern district in East St. Louis. So now take all of those, and you'll find the legal battles are only beginning. For sorting out the rest of this timeline, we are turning to Peter Hancock, a State House reporter and one of the founding members of Capital News Illinois, the largest state government-focused news bureau in Illinois. Peter, thank you so much for joining us here today.
Good to be here, Shelby.
All right, one of the district judges then said the ban should be blocked while this all plays out in court. Then more judges say no, it shouldn't. Then it goes to the U.S. Supreme Court, who sends it right back to the Illinois state. So now in the timeline, we are up to September of this year. What happens then?
Okay, in September, the Southern District of Illinois in East St. Louis held a trial. Those earlier cases that you mentioned were about whether or not the law should be blocked while the cases are proceeding. The Supreme Court said we're not going to review it at this time, so it gets kicked back to the lower courts. There was a week-long trial in East St. Louis in September. A lot of lawyers, one judge, no jury. The state argued that these are military-style weapons that should be reserved for the military and don't belong in the hands of the general public. Gun rights organizations said no, these are commonly used for legal purposes like self-defense and sporting activities, and this law is a violation of the Second Amendment. In the end, the judge agreed with the plaintiffs. He declared the law unconstitutional and issued an order prohibiting the law from being enforced, but delayed the effective date of that order, giving the state time to appeal to the Seventh Circuit. And that's where we are now. The Seventh Circuit said, hold your horses. They put the law back in effect, put the judge's order on hold, and said we need to hear arguments. Now, the Seventh Circuit has ruled several times in the past that the assault weapons bans, at least, are not unconstitutional on their face, and they withstood the challenges for preliminary injunctions. So we're now waiting for them to review this case. And as you said, there are 2 other similar cases in the Northern District around Chicago. Those involve both the state ban as well as some local city ordinances that do the same thing. So the Seventh Circuit has a lot of work on its plate right now.
No kidding. And like you said, this has got a lot of moving parts here. So let's break it down. What does this mean right now for Illinois residents? Can you buy an assault weapon in the state right now?
Well, it kind of depends on who you are, but generally, no. The assault weapons ban is still in place. They're not sold in gun stores. You're not supposed to bring one in. If you have one and you've had it since before the law was put into effect, that is to say, if you're grandfathered in, you are supposed to have that weapon registered with the Illinois State Police as an endorsement on your FOID card, your firearm owner's identification card. But so right now, the law is in place just as it has been since it was passed.
And Peter, no one is going to be able to predict what's going to happen. I'm not asking you to, but based off of what these judges have already ruled, off of what they've already said in their decisions, does it seem like this law eventually will continue to be enforced or removed?
Well, the odds are that the Seventh Circuit will uphold the law just as they have in the past. There's a lot of precedent at the Seventh Circuit, which covers a number of states, including Illinois. Eventually, the U.S. Supreme Court is going to have to weigh in on whether or not state and local governments can ban these assault style weapons. There are some cases, I think, that are before the Supreme Court now, waiting for the court to say whether or not they're going to take them up. Illinois will probably wind up at the Supreme Court before too long. So it's one of several cases from around the country, one of several laws from around the country that the Supreme Court will eventually have to look at.
Peter, thank you so much for your time and your reporting today. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
You at home can view Peter's full report breaking down all these legal twists and turns on our website. Just head over to WQAD.com and the As Seen on TV tab.